This is the Professional Edge. My name is Sean Todd, tax attorney, CPA, and certified financial planner, host here on the Professional Edge for north of 5 years. I'm very excited about this broadcast because we're talking about a retirement flight. Now let's think about that when we go to the airport or think about traveling. And we are the pilot of this flight, and we are in constant contact with the control tower. Now you're saying how does this relate to me as an individual being a certified financial planner and helping our listeners here on the Professional Edge plan for that safe and secure retirement? Well, we're going to go over that, and stay tuned. We have a lot of free updates and giveaways, and I hope everyone is enjoying the summer, and we are on track to enjoy the rest of the summer. We have some travel plans, and again, that will relate to your flight. So before we begin, you got to remember that we are offering a free, or basically what I consider a very discounted obligation or an entitlement, which is if you go to emcthebundle.com, that is Echo Mary Charlie, thebundle.com, we put together for our listeners here on the Professional Edge a very valuable and very highly discounted incentive to get things done and in place. We all know that a lot of us are wow, that's a tough word this morning. Procrastinators. So sorry about that. But that is an incentive to get you to get things done, and that's your retirement plan, your estate plan, fully funded, revocable trust, and we're going to avoid the probate court process to keep your affairs private. We're going to protect your assets from creditors and then proceed with complete privacy. And then we're going to take a look at your retirement plan and also some tax planning. So again, visit emcthebundle.com. That is Echo Mary Charlie, thebundle.com. So turning to our topic of this conversation, your retirement flight. So let's think about this. You're the pilot of this plane or this transaction to get you from where you are right now to your destination, and that is your safe and secure retirement. So as a pilot, we got to remember when we plan, we want a smooth flight. We want a smooth retirement. So before we go on that flight, when our passengers are boarding the plane, that pilot's in front and they're doing all these things. They're checking things. They're going through their pre-flight checklist. And what does that mean, or how does it relate to your retirement? Well, your pre-retirement checklist is number one on your ongoing obligation or your ongoing checklist for retirement. Are you making the right capital contributions to your 401k? Are you maximizing that? Are you getting the maximum match from your employer? That's number one. So how is your allocation? We had a tough year in 2022 when the S&P went down about 20%, the NASDAQ dropped by 30%, and an 80-year look back before we looked at the bond performance that we had, which was terrible because the Fed was raising rates at an unprecedented manner. So we had a minus 10% in the bond sector. So it was a very tough year in 2022, and it scared individuals planning for that safe and secure retirement. So they moved to cash. Well, that's been a costly mistake because we just reached a 52-week high in the markets just this past week. So when we are planning and doing our checklist for that pre-flight, we haven't taken off. We're just sort of there getting things in order, and that's you working at your place of employment. You haven't retired yet. You're on the track to retire. So we're going through the 401k, your allocation, and some people have moved to cash because they saw their 401k account go down. So they have missed out on this recent run up in the S&P and then the markets. Excuse me. So what do? It's like jumping rope. When do I get back in so I don't trip up? Well, you can't really time the market. So you got to have your strategic plan, because as a pilot doing that pre-flight checklist, They know that things come into play, such as bad weather. When we're in flight and the storm rages on and it comes into the flight path, they don't just land the plane and jump out. They basically avoid and they adjust their current path. And that is you as a person planning for your safe and secure retirement. You have to adjust. So we don't just bail out, meaning land the plane. What we do is adjust and reallocate that portfolio. So if you have not done that, or you've done that and you're still holding in cash, then this is a unique opportunity to give our office a call at 877-654-3750. So again, that number is, I'll just give you the direct number, and that is 404-250-9798. That is 404-250-9798. And just say, you know what? I listened to the podcast or the Professional Edge show, and I'm on my retirement flight. I need some direction. And being a pilot, you got to remember that the pilot is constantly in contact with ground control, the control tower. So that's us, basically, to keep the flight on track. So they are always in constant contact with the control tower. So if you want to think of that concept, the control tower is estate management counselors. You are the pilot directing this retirement flight to get from point A to point B to your destination, and your destination is that safe and secure retirement. So again, give our office a call at 404-250-9798 to schedule that free complimentary consultation. So back to our pre-flight checklist. The other thing we got to look at is the amount of debt that you currently have. How are you paying that down? Is your objective to be debt-free when you reach retirement? And let's say there's a couple $100,000 of mortgage debt, and you were safe enough or prudent enough to lock in a very low rate, let's say 3.5% on your mortgage. You have about $200,000. Well, what's the analysis on that to eliminate that debt, or would it be better off to keep that debt and then continue to build up an after-tax or even make a Roth IRA contribution? You say, wow, I'm making too much money for a Roth. Well, we all know there is a way to get that backdoor Roth contribution, and therefore we can fund that and also maximize your 401k. So that's another part of this pre-flight retirement checklist. What are we doing with your debt? Then also part of this, before we take off and we get on this flight, is how are we going to manage your budget? And a lot of people, they say, well, it's 70% of your current income is what your retirement income. And I'm here to debate that. I've seen enough people retire, close to 500 people plus, through the practice of estate management counselors. And I will tell you, initially, that is false moniker. It's just not true. You, as a retiree, you spend probably 110% of income, at least for the first 3 years, because you're transitioning. You are going to do some updates to the house because you're home. That to-do list, which has been postponed for multiple years, is going to be attached and attacked. And basically, like that back deck, back patio, different adjustments to the home. You may say, you know what, it's time to rip the carpet out, put in hardwood floors. We're going to repaint. We need a new roof. We need to update the HVAC. And you have made the conscious decision to stay put because now you have that 3.5% mortgage, and it is cheap money. You can't live anywhere else. You want to downsize, but it is costly to purchase something right now because of the interest rates, and it's hard to replace what you currently have. So a lot of individuals run through that analysis, and when you take that in, your spending on basic living is going to be lower because we're not going out to lunch and doing those things. But again, you're going to spend that 110% of current income and burn that about the first 3 years doing these projects around the house and also traveling. We have this pent-up demand from COVID, and we are going to look at that and say, okay, we need to budget for that too. So again, as a listener here on the Professional Edge, got to take that into a plan the first 3 to 5 years of your retirement. Is that pre-flight checklist? How are we going to fund this extra spending the first couple, 3 years? Well, we do the analysis, and that's where you need to take advantage of our combination package. That's where we put together your trust, meaning your estate plan, your financial plan, and your tax plan. So it's emcthebundle.com. That is Echo Mary Charlie, thebundle.com. And go ahead and take advantage of that. If you were to get all three of those separately, giving our office a call at 404-250-9798. That number again, 404-250-9798. It would be north of $10,000. But being a listener here on the Professional Edge, we have discounted that down to $3,000. Yes, if we structure it properly, it could be a valid business expense if you had a side hustle. And therefore, it could potentially be a tax-deductible expense right off the top. So think about that. We spend $3,000. If you're in the 30% tax bracket, we just saved you $1,000 in taxes. So the net true cost of that is $2,000. Yes, I proceed real quickly because being a tax attorney, a CPA, and a certified financial planner, we structure things to help our clients at estate management counselors. So again, to take advantage of that, that is Echo Mary Charlie, thebundle.com. So back to our pre-flight checklist for our retirement flight. Next thing we need to look at is, what is the destination? Well, the destination in your retirement is, have I accumulated enough to fund out my retirement to up to, let's say, age 80, 85? And what's the probability of success of doing that? Well, we run a Monte Carlo analysis, which takes into account this return of the easiest way. When you get returns in retirement, it's not going to be a steady 8%. What we do is there is a variance of rate of return annually, and that is the sequence of return risk. So doing a Monte Carlo analysis, we take into account the variance of returns. So that is the return risk scenario. So we do the Monte Carlo analysis to see the probability of success of you not running out of money before you run out of time. So again, take advantage of that. Our number, 404-250-9798. That number again, 404-250-9798. Again, more coming up here on the Professional Edge, and we're talking about our retirement flight.
With today's financial markets, are you getting the personal and professional attention you and your money deserve? Clients of estate management counselors benefit from having one set of professionals advise them on their tax, estate planning, and investment advice. We call that the Professional Edge. Sean Todd is a tax attorney, CPA, and certified financial planner. With over 15 years' experience, he welcomes the opportunity to assist you in preparing for retirement, implement effective tax planning strategies, and to help you properly plan your estate. His radio show, The Professional Edge, is aired weekly on Sundays at 9 a.m. If you're interested in meeting with Sean, call his office at 877-654-9798. That's 877-654-9798. Do you want to feel more confident about making the right investment, tax, and estate planning decisions? Today, these decisions are more complex than ever. Have you thought about working with a professional advisor and not sure who to turn to? Not sure what qualifies one to be an advisor? Sean Todd is more than qualified as a tax attorney, CPA, and certified financial planner. Sean is with Estate Management Counselors. Estate Management Counselors operates as an independent fee-only investment advisory firm. They're dedicated to gaining a personal understanding of their clients' objectives and implementing professional counsel and advice to achieve those objectives. So take a second to talk with Sean Todd to learn how you can benefit from their multidisciplinary practice where they coordinate their clients' legal, tax, and investment strategies into one comprehensive and integrated plan to enhance and protect their clients' financial security. You can reach estate management counselors and speak with Sean Todd by calling 1-877-654-9798. That's 1-877-654-9798.